One of the most astonishing parts of the Passover Haggadah is the story of the rabbis. The story of the rabbis sitting through the night telling the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim. The Haggadah starts off and says, Maaseh Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah, Rabbi Tarfon, Shayu Mesubin Bnei Brak. All the sages are sitting in Bnei Brak, and they speak about the story of the Exodus, and they are so engrossed in the story of the Exodus that they don't notice time going by. And it says, Achebao Talmidim, until their students came to them and told them, Rabotenu, our teachers, Higia Zman Kriyat Shema Shel Shacharit, the time of saying the morning Shema has come. And there are many commentaries about this, but the questions you need to ask are really, why are all these rabbis together? Why are they with their families? And how do they not notice that the sun is out? And why are their students not sitting with them? I mean, if you're away from your family, you might as well be with your students. And one of the many explanations given to this passage is that indeed it does correspond to the time of the Bar Kokhba rebellion, the time that the Jews, with the blessing of Rabbi Akiva, rose against the Romans and rebelled against the Romans, which led to a devastating defeat and a crushing oppression by the Romans, who really crushed this rebellion. And so you understand now why the rabbis were sitting in Bnei Brak, which was, by the way, the city Rabbi Akiva was in charge of. So even though Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah is the Nasi, he's the head, nonetheless they're sitting in Bnei Brak because Rabbi Akiva is the leader of the rebellion. And so they're sitting inside a cave because not only is it illegal to observe anything Jewish at this time, but Rabbi Akiva is wanted by the law. He's wanted because he's leading this rebellion. So he's actually on the Roman most wanted list. And they're sitting and their students are outside. Now these students could be their students in Torah, but they can also be the students that are rebelling actively against the Romans. And they tell them that they've gone through the night and it's time to speak. The morning has come. Now, this is widely cited, this explanation, but it's very important that we connect it also to the next paragraph. Amar Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Harei ani keven shivim shana. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, because this passage is not disconnected from the one before it, is actually a direct continuation. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says, I am like 70 years old, and I never heard people explain why the story of the Exodus of Yetziat Mitzrayim has to be mentioned also at night, that it's so important. And so he says Ben Zoma told him why it has to be said at night, but then Chachamim said why it has to be told also in Yemot HaMashiach. Now remember, Rabbi Akiva is the one who said, as the Rambam states, Darach Kochav miYaakov, the verse in the book of Bamidbar that speaks of Mashiach, Darach Kochav miYaakov, in Parashat Balak, is actually talking about Bar Kochva as the Mashiach. And so they're thinking to themselves, what will Yemot HaMashiach look like? Will there be an obligation to speak of Yetziat Mitzrayim if such an extraordinary miracle happens, so extraordinary that they, the small Jews, are going to defeat the Romans? And so they're asking themselves, will we have to say the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim once the Yemot HaMashiach come? And they're hoping for a miracle because that's the only thing that can win. And it's unfortunate because we all know the end of the story. We know that the Romans really crushed this revolution, and that was the end of Jewish life in the land of Israel for the first time in more than 500 years. Complete decimation of a Jewish life. Yet their story, the echoes of their voices sitting in the cave, have inspired Jews for generation after generation, to say, Lahavili mota Mashiach, even when the Mashiach will come. And the Mashiach will come. No matter how difficult things are, the Mashiach will come. Nonetheless, we'll speak about the glory of Yetziat Mitzrayim, the beauty of Yetziat Mitzrayim. So may we be blessed with such redemption of Yemot HaMashiach and take inspiration from the rabbis who, even in the darkest of times, sat and studied this story of the Haggadah. Happy Passover, Chag Sameach.